And joining us now, Dwayne Martin is with us. He is the head of Enogen Marketing and Stewardship at Syngenta. Dwayne, great to catch up with you, sir. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing very well, Jesse. Hope you all are too.
Well, thank you for the time, Dwayne. We appreciate it. Let's dive in and let's talk about Enogen. And I know, thinking about a year like the one we're having when we're looking at our cost of feed and margins, et cetera, I'd have to think a product like Enogen corn could really help our livestock producers. But to back up a second, for folks who are not completely familiar with what Enogen is, can you give us a little bit of a rundown of what Enogen is, Dwayne?
I, I can, and that's a great place to start. Some folks have heard of Enogen and know what it is, others have not. An Enogen corn hybrid is essentially the same, identical to a non Enogen corn hybrid, except for one key feature, and that is it contains a trait that allows the plant to make an amylase enzyme. And all that amylase enzyme does is change starch to sugar. So our livestock producers, whether they're beef or dairy producers, know that they're feeding corn to cattle as an energy source. And that energy is in the starch in a corn kernel. You unlock it by converting that starch to usable sugars. That's what helps a beef steer produce a pound of beef, a dairy cow produce a pound of milk. So that's what Enogen does. It essentially converts starch to sugar more quickly and effectively than other corn hybrids. You can feed it as grain or silage to beef or dairy cattle. What it does is essentially give the producer about a 5% feed efficiency gain, regardless of how they feed that Enogen corn.
Well, Dwayne, I think about the benefits not only for our beef and dairy herds, but I think about as well the benefits when it comes to cost savings. I mean, you think about just the way things are right now in the ag economy, margins, as I mentioned earlier, are tight, et cetera, et cetera. So not only is it, a health benefit to use Enogen corn, but the financial benefits for our producers seems to be there as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Whether you're talking beef or dairy, it's really kind of an odd market right now. Prices are in many cases higher than they've been in a while, but input costs are through the roof. So putting a lot of pressure on margins for these operations. And the way we deal with that is to become more efficient. We want to produce more with less. Now, one of the things that we've just completed is to take some of the published research that we've got on Enogen and plug that into a calculator that was developed by scientists at the University of Wisconsin that essentially take the entire crop production and livestock feeding cycle into account and produce a return to investment, so to speak, a savings per head for a livestock operation. For example, we took the results from a Penn State University dairy feeding study, plugged them into this calculator, and there was a range of results, but it was very significant. We found that feeding Enogen silage versus non-Enogen silage resulted in an average savings of about $175 per head for the first 8 months of 2022. There was the range from $132 per head to over $200 per head, primarily due to changes, fluctuations in milk price and milk component price. But when you think about, say, a 500 head milking herd and you're returning about $200 per head, you're returning substantial savings and potential profitability to that operation. So while we're trying to be more efficient, one of the side benefits there, obviously, is you're going to reduce input costs, reduce your feed costs, and return some of that money to your operation.
Well, I think another benefit as well, Dwayne, is looking at the potential environmental impacts, greenhouse gas emissions being lowered, a lower use of land, energy, water, etc. It seems like there's a lot of good impacts there on the environmental front as well.
This is an area that is becoming much more important to livestock producers today. I'm glad you brought it up, Jesse. And that, I find a lot of producers really want to genuinely lower environmental impact of livestock production. B, want to improve the perception that non-farm people have of livestock production, since they simply don't understand in many cases what's going on. So to me, once again, the key benefit here is simplicity. If we're doing more with less, that's going to result in environmental impact as well as financial impact. So we've conducted what we call a life cycle analysis through some third-party folks that specialize in this type of research. And we've realized that that 5% feed efficiency gain translates almost directly to about the same level of reduction in environmental impact. So in other words, we're reducing what they call global warming potential by about 5%, fossil fuel depletion by about 6%, land use by about 4%, water consumption about the same degree. So essentially, when you think about this in simple terms, it really just means that we're keeping production high and in some cases increasing it, but we're doing it with the same or fewer inputs. So not only does that save the operation money, it also reduces the environmental impact per pound of beef produced or per pound of milk produced. So as you said, the savings essentially are pretty far reaching and go start to finish, from putting the seed in the ground through feeding livestock through to environmental sustainability benefits.
Well, Dwayne, if producers want to learn more about Enogen corn, what's going to be the best way for them to do that?
So Enogen corn's available through either Golden Harvest Seed Advisors, this is a dealer network throughout the country, or NK corn retailers. That immediately they can jump on Enogen.com on the website, and most of the information that I just talked about is very clearly presented right there. A lot of links to our research, a lot of grower producer testimonials, so they can find some information very quickly on the website. Once again, Golden Harvest Seed Advisors, NK retailers can tell you more and also talk to you about the individual Enogen hybrids that would be available for that area.
Well, with that, Dwayne Martin with Syngenta talking about Enogen corn. We appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us today. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you, Jesse.